good definition in your own words, without reading it out of your own book or textbook, what a drainage basin is? Go on, Sonny.
A drainage basin is the area of land where water flows through near a river.
First part was excellent, lost it a bit in the second half. Do I think I can improve upon Sonny's definition? Oliver Martin, what do you think it is?
The area of land around a river where the water's soaked up by the surrounding land.
You're close, we're all on the right tracks here. Okay, if we think of the river being a plug, okay, and the sink being the basin itself, if we were to pull the plug out of the sink when we've got a basin full of water, all the water's going to flow down the plug. So the drainage basin is basically the area of land drained by a particular river. Okay, that's a more simple way of explaining what a drainage basin is. We'll look at a few shortly. These are some of the major rivers of England, and we looked down in the southeast corner where we are, down in Kent. We've got the River Thames and the River Medway. We talked about there being a high line that will separate drainage basins. So effectively, between each drainage basin, you're going to get a point dividing one drainage basin from another. Okay, we're very close to one here in Methven. If we're to travel a couple of miles up the road towards Vigo, on the top of the North Downs there, that's the dividing line between two drainage basins. So if it falls slightly on one side, so that'd be the southern side, it will drain down into the River Medway's drainage basin. Slightly to the north of that, so the Vigo side of it, it will drain down into the River Thames. So it's a dividing line between the two drainage basins. And effectively, all these rivers will drain all of the land of England. Okay. Did we get to the point where we wrote that question down and answered it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. Right, this diagram here shows that dividing line. Okay, I know it's just a cartoony sketch of the diagram. Okay, but obviously the ridge, the high point, will separate the drainage basin one from the other. And we can see the river is acting as a drain, a plug, and all the water that lands in that drainage basin will ultimately find its way into that river and make its way out into the sea. Right, I'm going to go through some of the key terms with help you in this shortly. You've got two textbooks that we're working from today. You've got the old one and the new one. Could you actually have them both open, please? Could you open the old textbook to pages 6 and 7? So open the old OCR one to pages 6 and 7. And can we have the new textbook open on page 158? So the new one is on 158, the old one, pages 6 and 7, right at the start. Right, we've got some terminology that we need to familiarise ourselves with. 6 and 7.
I thought you said 67.
Sorry, 6 and 7, right at the very start, unit 1 in the old book. Right, just going to pick up some of the key terminology for us now. Right, this dashed line is that dividing line. And a good way of explaining what that dividing line is, or the actual key name for it, is the watershed. So the watershed is the line that separates one drainage basin from another. So that's a basic definition for that. Okay, so we can see the watershed here. If it lands to the other side of the line, it will drain into another river somewhere else. Okay, if it lands on the other side of the hill there, it's draining down into another river somewhere else, part of another drainage basin. But any rain, precipitation that lands in the designated drainage basin here will ultimately find its way into this river and make its way out into the sea. Other key terms we need to know when we're looking at a drainage basin are the following. First one is the source. I think it's a word most of you are probably fairly familiar with, Nikolai. The source of the river is very simply where the river starts and will normally be the highest point in the drainage basin. Okay, so a very high point where the river begins, and it might begin as a very, very small stream. Okay, at that point there. Another word we need to know is tributary. Okay, a tributary is a smaller river or stream that joins the larger one. So we can see several tributaries joining onto the main channel from all sides. Okay, so a tributary is a smaller stream or river that joins the main one or the large one or the main channel itself. Another key word here is confluence. The confluence is the point where two rivers meet, okay, or two rivers join. Okay, so that's a confluence. And finally, on this diagram here is the word mouth. And once again, like with source, I think it's one that you've probably come across before. Mouth is the actual point where the river enters the sea. Okay, so it's effectively the end point of the river. Okay.